Are you talking about September?
Well, I'm definitely excited for September. Like I said, I'm someone that's not afraid of, going through some pretty crazy shit. But we're on this learning journey just like many of you might be. Think of us as your curious companions as we stumble, learn, and hopefully gain some genuine insights.
So, if you're curious about your birth chart, wondering what the tarot card really means, or just looking for some relatable company on your spiritual learning path, then Stars and Shuffles is for you. Get ready to explore the universe within and around us. Well, one thing I have to ask, because I just finished editing August, and the prevalent thing is 4 retrogrades in August.
Yeah.
Are we leaving any retrogrades? Or only adding to it?
I mean, we are entering some retrogrades. We have Saturn that's leaving Aries, going into Pisces for a bit. I think it's making its trek one last time in Pisces before it goes back into Aries. And so it will be in retrograde, along with Uranus, who will be entering retrograde on the 5th of September. So still retrograde energy.
Okay. I guess this could be a tough one, but is there ever a time when we aren't in retrograde?
There are times,
Yeah.
right, when it comes out, where it comes out of retrograde and goes direct. I didn't really do my research yet on when we get out of it.
No, just one day, if we're ever in a day when there's 0 retrogrades happening, we must talk about it. We must document that day and know how we all feel, 0 things in retrograde if it happens.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, I think I mentioned this before, right? People get so caught up in retrogrades because for some reason, everything just feels chaotic. It feels like things are falling apart, and it's always seen as a bad thing. Get ready. But what people need to understand is that retrograde is forcing you to just slow it down. And you got to remember that. So it's not necessarily, don't invite bad thoughts and anticipations when we enter retrogrades. Think of it as okay, this is the time to really hunker down and focus on this, certain thing. And really spend some time with it instead of trying to scatter my energy everywhere.
Okay, so next month, can we just do a retrograde Q&A where I come with 1,000 retrograde questions? I want to know.
And dig deeper into retrogrades. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm that could be a whole topic within itself.
Yeah, because my wheels are already spinning. I'm is there more retrogrades now than there were 10 years ago? So these are all things we need to research and look at.
Well, I guess, where is that question stemming from? Is it that you're seeking to understand what events were going on during that retrograde, that you're trying to make that connection, or where is the curiosity coming from?
Because you mentioned that retrogrades doesn't mean chaos, essentially. However, it can still bring some of that chaotic energy. And if we look at today versus 20 years ago, I feel like the energy is more chaotic in a sense, just for everything. And so I'm I wonder if we look 20 years ago, were there less retrogrades? And at the end of the day, we look at 2020, it was still chaotic. So
yeah,
I think it's also a mind of our own nostalgia of what we remember. It's oh, it wasn't that chaotic back then, but it was. It really was.
Yeah, it was just a different layer and definition of chaotic, right? There were still chaotic things happening back then, but they didn't have the same technology that we had. They just didn't. They had different circumstances around their time, and so I think that's why it looks different. But it was still there.
Yeah. Well, even 20 years ago, we were both in school still. And so life just wasn't as chaotic as it is today. But back to September. So I'll start us with the overarching theme. And so last month was very much everything was reversed. This month, we only have 2 cards reversed.
Whoa.
And so a much better expectation, you feel? Not necessarily, but but we do start with our 8 of Cups here. And so our 8 of Cups, he's going on this long journey. And so what the 8 of Cups means, and you can see the moon up there is kind of tired.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what this card means. We're exhausted.
Yeah.
We're ready to kind of take that break. Maybe we're tired of this journey we've been on. And so we're at that point where we are ready to sit down, maybe reflect a little bit and kind of release that energy.
Yep.
Which I'll let you talk about the stars, because as soon as you told me what was going on, I was like, oh, makes sense.
So I will have to say, September, the main characters of September are the lunar and solar eclipse, which are going to have an episode all of their own that we're gonna, dig deeper into, for like each rising sign and what it looks like for them. But the whole theme of the lunar eclipse, like on a general level for just every sign, is that some events are coming your way to really force you to let go. So August was a time where things are happening because you're getting these signs, right, from the universe, like, "Ooh, I have to like rethink this relationship. I have to rethink, this behavior I have. I have to rethink something, whether it's within you or in your surroundings." If you didn't get that message or you haven't been reflecting, something's going to happen where it's like pushing you in your face, telling you, you got to let that go,
Yeah.
and just be prepared. It's just going to feel like, it depends on what that event is, but it's going to be overwhelming, and so just make sure to like take some time to reflect, because if you're not doing that, it's going to come more as a surprise for you versus those that have been, taking the time to slow it down, reflect on those things in August. September is going to be the final sign of, okay, like I was right. This is the trajectory that this is going. I need to make this decision of letting go of whatever that is.
Yeah, which we ended August. Our last week was we were making a decision. I believe it was the Knight of Swords reversed, and we were kind of being pushed up against the wall that we have to make a decision, but it was reversed. And so we probably had some kind of barrier communication from it, is where we just left in August, which our first week in September aligns perfectly with that, because our first week in September is our only reverse card for the weeks. So we do have a reverse card for positive, negative. We have the Four of Swords reversed, which we just came out of a Swords in August, and then we go back into a Sword. So that communication. And if this was upright, so you can kind of look at it, it's somebody just peacefully laying there, but you can see up in the window, like there are, a stained glass image of, people.
Yeah.
And so if it was upright, it'd be you're resting. You just went over, made a decision, you're to a time where you're able to like sit back. But since we are reversed, we're struggling to release something.
Yep.
And rest right now. We're in that time where maybe it's a decision we had last month that is still bothering us, and we are just not able to let it go. And so I really read into this card of this month, we need to let something go and probably meditate to find a way to release it so that we can get the rest that we so much desire, especially in that first week in September, that we are struggling to obtain.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's very in line, because I would say September 7th is when the lunar eclipse happens, right? So it doesn't necessarily mean like September 7th, that's the day when something big is going to happen. Things could happen before it as we're gearing up for it to come, or things could happen after, right? After that lunar eclipse happened, and there's still that energy where that event could happen after that. It doesn't necessarily mean September 7th is going to happen, but that definitely aligns with, that card that you got for that first week, because it's definitely pushing us where something's bugging you. You're not going to stop thinking about it. You're going to be restless because, like I said, you have to let whatever August was hinting at, you have to let that go.
And they're struggling.
And it's going to be a struggle.
But it's kind of funny. So we talked about the lunar eclipse coming on the 7th, which is going to be the very first day of the second week. And so when we go into for our second week here, so when I was pulling these cards, like cards just kept falling. Whoa. But like they were falling in chunks essentially. And so when they fall in chunks like that, I'm like, I can't read 6 cards for 1 week. And it happened twice in a row that cards fell and fell. And I'm like, what is happening? Like,
sounds like the aftermath of the chaos that
of
the lunar
lunar
eclipse is
eclipse.
bringing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so finally, like 2 cards still jumped because they were like, they would not settle. Like it was like, we're not getting 1 card for this week. We need many. And so we ended up with our 3 of Pentacles again, which we had the Pentacles reversed last month.
Oh,
And so
wow,
this month though, they
yeah.
have flipped over. So last month they were reversed. And where were they? Oh, I'll look it up as soon as I'm done with this part here. But it's about collaboration again.
Yeah.
So our 3 of Pentacles is collaboration, and now they're upright, where I believe last month they were reversed.
Mhm.
And so it's you are seeking out, and you can kind of see like there's one person kind of guiding like 2 other people essentially. So you're definitely going in and looking for some kind of connection, but it's pentacles, so it could be people, it could be material things like collecting of some sort is what I look at it as. And then the card that was like, we're coming, is the devil.
Yep, yep.
So,
And I was spotting that because anytime I see the devil, I see it more so as change,
mhm,
right? There's this just big disruption that completely changes just the way you've been doing things, the way you've been moving about in the world. And that's, again, that's definitely in line. And this is for the second week of
still the
September,
second
right?
week, yeah.
Yeah. So that makes total sense where, in this aftermath of whatever big event you just went
Mhm,
through, change is coming.
yeah.
It's things are operating differently. Um, and it's definitely a good indicator of it's aligning with our, um, upcoming solar eclipse. Now, the solar eclipse isn't that second week of
Mhm.
September. It's the fourth week.
Okay, well, um so we actually finished in August with our 3 of Pentacles reversed as the positive or negative.
Hmm.
And so it was like kind of like, hey, it can be a positive or negative depending on like those people you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah.
And then coming into September, it's like, no, like either surround yourself with people or find that connection. But with the devil, and the devil's interesting. So when we were at the rooftop movie,
Hmm.
and I went to get a tarot like sticker just for
Yeah.
like for fun. She specifically was like, I want to make sure you don't get the devil. And I was like, huh. Like I was like,
Whoa.
I don't see the
Interesting.
devil as a bad
Bad
card
thing.
inherently.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it can have bad qualities to it of addiction and things like that.
Yeah.
But like you said, it can bring change. It can also help you maybe stand up for yourself and like, hey, I'm not gonna like be bullied in this situation potentially.
Yeah.
So it really depends on how you look at it. I think every card is subjective to like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, it could be, hey, the 3 of Pentacles fell first and then the devil like fell behind it. And so it's something that we're doing either as a group or finding community in. And then we have to be careful as, are we becoming too addictive to it? Are
Mm.
we doing too much potentially?
Yeah.
Are
And
you
not staying authentic to ourselves.
mhm.
Yeah, that is a good
Yeah.
point.
Are you standing up for yourself in the situations?
Yeah.
But like, let's take it as our pentacles, material things, and maybe, we weren't able to rest. So we're leaning into other habits like buying stuff. And so are we over consuming things?
Mm.
And so are we over consuming the friendships that you're having right now?
Yeah, maybe
All those
because
different
with all
ways.
this big change that happened,
Hmm.
let's say if it wasn't like, a lost friendship or stuff, maybe you're like panicking now or like, oh my gosh, was it me? Like, am I doing something wrong? And trying to like fit
Hmm.
in.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
And so it's kind of really neat they came together, but it was really neat that she was like, "No, I don't want you to have it." I'm like, "I want the card that calls me. I don't want just a card." So, but it's so going into week 2, it lines up so much with that lunar eclipse of
Yeah.
change.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
Mhm. Is there any retrogrades in that month, or is it just when's the first retrograde hit? It's
So, Uranus retrograde does begin September 5th.
okay.
And then I will say, I don't know if I mentioned it also, but September 1st is also Saturn
Okay.
retrograding in Pisces.
Okay.
So 2 retrogrades that first week of September.
So how did those 2 retrogrades kind of affect you? The Uranus versus Pisces. Is it which houses are they kind of? Well, I guess it depends
It
on your
depends on their
rising.
rising.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe that's something we could touch on more, as we're looking at
Mhm.
the lunar eclipses for and how it would impact each rising sign.
Mhm.
It would definitely be an interesting facet to include, how these two planets that are going into retrograde, how they're going to add a little add a little more pizzazz to that
Yeah.
energy that's from the
Okay.
eclipses.
Do planets rule like specific energies typically, or still it's very dependent on the house they're in at that
I mean,
time?
they do hold, certain characteristics. So, like Uranus, that's the planet of like disruption, innovation.
Mhm,
Um, I don't like to use the word chaotic because I'm someone where I see beauty in the chaos.
mhm, yeah.
But that's kind of the energy that you're expecting when it is direct, right? There's like changes happening, there's disruptions happening in your life
Mhm,
to really like push you in. Okay, like we're on this trajectory of your path. Where in life that happens is dependent on your rising sign.
okay. Yeah.
And then with Saturn, it's more so of adding structure.
Mhm,
It's a planet of, again, depending on what your rising sign is going to determine what aspect of life you need to add more structure, more boundaries. Um, and that may mean breaking down what you already have to rebuild something that's more sustainable because
mhm,
it's all about sustainable, not just habits, but like sustainability in general, right? Sustainable relationships, if that's the house that it's in,
mhm,
or sustainable ways of, keeping your finances in order. It's sustainability
mhm.
in my mind.
Okay. I was like, so it's kind of interesting then. We have that sustainability followed by lunar eclipse. And
Hmm.
with the devil card there, it's
Yeah,
kind of
you're right.
telling you,
Yeah.
like, hey, there could be chaos, but rein it in
Yeah.
and find, that beauty in it essentially, especially when you're with friends or groups, or maybe you're leading a pack and maybe, you're around that chaos. And so you have to be the person that makes sure to create
Hmm.
that structure for it. So interesting. So week 3 for me, so we got the Hanged Man, and
Okay.
so the Hanged Man. Hold on, I look right here. So I'm not as good with major arcanas, which is weird, um, because you would think like the major arcanas would come easier, but I always find the minors to be more intuitive. And like I said, it's probably because a woman designed the minors
Oh,
and a
yeah.
man, and so we'll do that history another day. Both our major arcana, it's for the Hanged Man. So he's hanging by his foot. So he's not in imminent danger,
Oh,
like per
okay.
se. Like he's just hanging around. But it's that time to pause and really reflect on your situation, which is like such a common theme in
Yeah.
September. Is to look at like, hey, what am I doing? Do I need to take a break? Am I stuck in limbo in something right now? How are
Yeah.
things not working for me? And how do I kind of look at it from a new perspective? Is what the Hanging Man kind of represents, kind of that pause in life. And so, like right now, September is telling me to sit my ass down and reflect and meditate.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I guess I don't obviously I'm not an expert in tarot. So for the hangman,
Mhm.
would it almost be that you're kind of being pushed to um slow down to get you out of a victim mentality as you're like confronted with all this change, right? Because I would think obviously there's some people where change comes and they're like, F it, like this is it. I'm just gonna go in there and deal with what I gotta deal with. And there's other people, right, who are change happens and they start getting like, very thrown off, start overthinking things, like very hesitant about things. Uh with the hangman, like what would you say like in connection to that
Yeah.
with those themes?
So I'll say I'm also not an expert. However, I would say, yeah, like especially if you're in a victim mentality, pause.
Yeah.
Like what's happening right now? Like it could be, how are you speaking? How is that perspective? And do you need to change it?
Yeah.
It could be in work. Maybe you've, you know, collected too much stuff like to do, and you put too much on your plate, and you're falling into this chaos that the
Hmm.
devil has brought to you. And it's like we're pausing. Like it could be even the lunar eclipse is happening right now, and we can choose to let like everything's just like start changing and happening to us, or we can pause and kind of watch it play out a little bit more
Hmm.
and reflect on it, or even just like pause and reflect on what changes we saw last week happen and how can we learn and grow from them.
Gotcha.
It's kind of how I see the Hanged Man happening, because again, he's not in some danger. He is,
Yeah.
just hanging around. He's kind of like, he really gives me like this chill dude,
I mean,
just
it looks
like,
like he's even being forced, right? Because
mm,
his little foot is tied
yeah,
to
his,
that tree. It's kind of like, bro, you
mhm,
got nowhere to go. You really got to just sit here and
mhm.
think it out.
Yeah, that is. That's what it is. Let's sit here and think it out. What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And of course, we have like like earth and stuff around him. So I'm pretty sure he is an earth card. I think I have that in here.
Oh, okay.
And so I'll look it up, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, he's earth, which is, catches onto our pentacles, sorry, of just pausing.
Yeah, that's interesting that he's Earth because we're talking about the third week now, right? For
Mm-hmm.
September. So what's interesting is September 19th, we have the moon and Venus going into Virgo, which is an earth sign. And enough, the solar eclipse is also in Virgo, which is an earth sign. So it's interesting to see those like earth connections.
Yeah, I lied. He's a water. I'm sorry.
Oh.
He was a water sign.
Getting all excited here.
I was like, hold on. One of them is, let me check. It might be the devil. The devil is earth.
Okay.
The devil was the earth sign. My
Gotcha.
bad. I was like, I knew there was one of them, and I was like, wait, let me double check. So the devil is our earth sign. The hangman was water sign. But I always feel like water and earth are very connected, whereas air and fire signs are very connected.
Yeah.
Because like earth and water, like together they create mud. They're together. Whereas you can't have a fire without air.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, and so I still personally see them as very connected signs.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so sorry, water. But go ahead. I was like, oh no, I'm telling the wrong thing. Our open book test failing us again.
Well, that's the whole point, right? We're having fun with this.
Yeah.
And I mean, hopefully we get to the point where we won't even need notes.
I know. I'm excited for that day.
Yeah.
That's actually fun asked me yesterday. So my husband asked, he was like, I had a dream, or he told me, he's like, he had a dream that I was just like at my highest self of like reading tarot. And he was like, what would you do when you get there? I'm like, probably like avoid it because I would know too much. I don't know.
Like I'm seeing into the future way, way, way too much. This is too much power for one person.
Yeah. When you start seeing like, I don't know.
I always like to, and this could be obviously this could be another episode of astrology and tarot. At least for me, it's more of like a self care. I guess like a little more like self help realm where it really just gets you as helps like change your mindset, right? That's why like I always cringe a little when astrologers are trying to scare you with this stuff because like I said, like I'm a big proponent of nothing is going to stay the same no matter how much we want that. And I think by at least astrology and tarot, it gives you some insight, as you're reflecting on these thoughts and you're kind of like, shit, like where do I go to for like advice or like trying to open up, right, that the third eye and trying to get some like guidance. It really helps to go to that and use that as a tool and resource.
I think I agree completely because we are interpreting what they are saying.
Yeah.
And what was I was reading something just like our mind is really good at finding
patterns and connecting dots. It
and,
loves that.
Yeah. It's like so our mind is going to see these cards, and they're going to connect it to what makes sense in their world.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's that it gives you a different way of seeing it. That sometimes it can be very black and white when you see these cards. You're like, okay, I knew that, but like stop telling me it. And then other times it kind of like, you can use them as journal prompts, just like, okay, this thing could be happening right now.
Yeah.
How do I need to adjust to that? And they do change, but they can also stay the same. Like I did my tarot spread for the whole year in December, and I was looking at my August one. I was like, yep, that's accurate still. Highly relevant. Like it was one thing I specifically, since I own a business, is I did my tarot on like personal life and my business. Like where will I be in my business?
Oh, like separating them. Yeah. Okay.
And so, well, actually using the same card, like how does that affect me in both these areas? And for this month, it said to make sure you're putting systems in place. And I'm like, we literally just upgraded our project management system to make sure it could grow with us. I was like, wow. So if these are not more connected than anything else, I'm like, I don't know how. Like, because I pulled this in December and I just read it today, and last week we upgraded.
Yeah.
I was like, so highly relevant to like what is happening.
Well,
But,
so back to,
yes.
September and what the month is bringing in the outlook. September 21st. So that's when the solar eclipse happens.
Okay.
And, just for knowledge, right? So lunar eclipse was all about letting go of something, and it's going to be connected to the solar eclipse in the sense of that whatever you let go, it was meant to bring you towards that path of something new that's coming in your life. So the
Mhm.
solar eclipse is bringing new opportunity, new ways of thinking, something new. Here's what you're supposed to be letting in and bringing in. And so I'm hoping that, with whatever happened in lunar eclipse, you were finally able to get in that mindset, in that state
Mhm.
to receive whatever it is that the solar eclipse is trying to bring to you.
Mm. I like getting in that state. I mean, what the hangman was also trying to make you do.
Yes,
That
yeah.
was perspective.
You're being forced to like just sit with your thoughts, because yeah, and I'm getting excited here because I see the magician.
Oh, well, before we get to the magician, we actually moved to the Page of Pentacles.
Oh, okay. Well, then
Yeah,
that
I'm
works too.
sorry. I was like, I don't, like for some reason, this is how the spread goes. It goes, you're in the middle is
Yeah.
our overarching, and then first, second, third, fourth.
Gotcha.
However, the Page of Pentacles is 100% what you're talking about with the solar eclipse, because pages, and we had a page last month was
Yeah.
swords. This month it's pentacles, and it's that spark. It's that like new idea, creativity. However, our difference between our page of swords versus pentacles, and we have pentacles this month, is this pentacle is the most distracted.
Really?
And so it's a childlike wonder that he has.
Oh.
And so going with a solar energy, like eclipse energy,
Yeah.
I feel like that is very similar. It can go in so many different directions. And
Uh-huh.
can you like make sure, I think of it as shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
Is the Page of Pentacles.
Oh.
You have the choice of like, you have this new idea, you're really excited for it.
Yeah.
But then are you letting yourself get distracted by this other new idea or this other new idea?
Yeah.
And so you need to be careful with the Page of Pentacles, even though it's good because it's like, we're like excited, It could also be you're leaning into hobbies again. So again, creative. And I know we talked about that last month as well.
Oh,
Hobbies
yeah.
and things like that. But that's where the Page of Pentacles kind of comes in. So making sure we're not using these things as a distraction too.
Yeah.
Some things we have to be careful about because again, he is the most like wandering of the pages. He's like, and like for this one, it's kind of simple. He's just holding the pentacle. But again, that pentacle could roll off his hands right there. And like he could be moving on the other things. And so he's so focused on this one thing. And so don't get so focused that you forget everything else around you. But it's a very interesting going into a solar eclipse with that.
Now, when you say pentacles, is that connected to the earth element?
That is Earth.
Okay, because I was gonna say, I mean, the solar eclipse is an earth element.
Mhm.
It's gonna be Virgo, so
It's like kind of interesting because if you look at the Page of Pentacles, it's almost like he's holding like
yeah,
like a sun-like object.
Some new stuff is coming my way because I would say pentacles, right? That's also so associated with like abundance. Okay,
Earthly. So it's like
because I would say it's not just like money, right? I like to think of it as like just abundance in general, like some type of like wealth, not necessarily just like actual physical money wealth, but it could be like a wealth in like mental health, emotional state. Opportunities are endless.
Yeah. So for this book, so this is the Inner Tarot by Kate Von Horn.
Yeah.
She compares to like In My Body, so it's like a more like physical things.
Oh,
So
okay.
associated with the earth element asks us to get embodied in things. So governs a physical realm relative to physical health, home, abundance, money, security, safety.
Oh, so I love that.
All those physical elements.
Yeah.
Whereas the sword last month was air communication, so it sparked an idea.
Yeah.
Probably this is like a curiosity of physical attributes, which is where it's like, hey, don't get distracted though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But do we want to go to our magician since you're excited?
I am pretty excited. I do like the magician.
Okay. This magician is reversed though. So this is our only other reversal in September. And its placement was for, is this going to be a positive or a negative month?
Yeah.
Right. And so the Magician represents like alignment and kind of
Ooh.
manifestation.
Okay.
And then when it's reversed, it indicates maybe our past efforts have not yielded the results we wanted. And
Ooh.
so again, it's sitting back and reflecting a little bit. And again,
Okay.
this is like an overarching, like this was our theme, was our 8 of Cups, which again was, hey, what we're doing probably isn't, you know, might not be what we want right now.
Yeah.
Let's pause, let's think. And our Magician is this positive, negative, honestly, a direct parallel to the 8 of Cups
Yeah.
being in reverse, saying, hey, we have been working towards something that maybe hasn't got what we wanted.
Yeah.
And so we need to kind of take a look at it all. Like,
Yeah, maybe
is
change.
it,
Is it like a, would you say it kind of brings that, trial and error sort of energy where you
mhm,
kind of have to try something out, it doesn't work, kind
yeah.
of revise the way in which you approached it. So I would think that's definitely related as you're, being approached with new opportunities, new ways of like living with the solar eclipse. With new stuff, you're not automatically going to know how
Mhm,
to, you know, coexist with that just yet, right?
mhm,
With that opportunity. I feel like with everything new, there's a learning curve.
mhm,
So that's kind of what I'm thinking when I see
yeah.
that reverse magician is that learning curve.
That's what it was. I had wrote down was, you learn from your past mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and refine them.
Oh, look at that.
So yes, that's exactly what we're doing. It's not necessarily like, it is reverse. And so
Yeah.
again, I don't say it's like a positive or negative
Mm-hmm.
per se. It is very much like, how can we learn and grow
Yeah.
and not stay in our hangman state of just being stuck somewhere, potentially
Yeah.
looking at it.
Yeah.
But and that's like, you can kind of see that theme where our three, our four, sorry, 4 of Swords reverse was something's bothering us.
Yeah.
And then we had that little middle with the devil and the three.
Okay.
And we get to the hangman where we're like, guys, sit down. And so you can see from the beginning of the month, hey, something is probably going to be stuck. How do I stop ruminating on that?
Yeah.
And because our Magician is telling us, like, this can be a positive or a negative month. We can sit back and look, reflect, and refine from
Yeah.
our past mistakes, or we can get to the end of the month and be sad that what we tried to do didn't work
Yeah.
because we never stopped and reflected all the times that it's been yelling at us to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, we're the creators of our own destiny in the sense
mhm,
where it really depends on how you decide to move forward from a situation. And I'm hoping all of you that are seeing this, if you are, confronted with some like really tough decisions and hard times, I will say that whatever you do decide, make sure it's in your best interest.
mhm,
Like at the end of the day, you got to focus on what's best for you.
yeah. I think that's definitely, leaving the devil, going to the hangman. That's what it's asking you to do too.
Yeah.
Like, look at what's going on around you.
Yeah.
Is it working the way you want it to?
Mm-hmm.
So that you can go into a Page of Pentacles and, find that spark for, or go back into a creative mindset, and leave with, flipping that Magician over so that you're reaping the rewards that you wanted, essentially.
Wow.
Hmm.
Well, I'm definitely excited for September. Like I said, I'm someone that's not afraid of, going through some pretty crazy shit. But with that comes, right, it brings just transformation, a new way of, like I said, moving around the world, living. So I'm excited to do a deeper dive into the rising signs and seeing what each rising sign is
Yeah.
going to confront. And I'm
And to look at these lunar and solar eclipses, doing a deep
yeah,
dive into them a little bit more,
yeah.
and really seeing, hey, what's happening to them. So, one thing we'll have to figure out though is those last 3 days. That's what I'm like the most curious about. Those last 3 days in September, because technically we don't have a pool for them. You want to pull a card real
Mm.
quick? Let's see what
Whoa,
those
pull a
last
card for those
three.
last 3 days. I
Yeah,
mean,
because I'm going on a trip on those 3 days, and so I'm like, what's happening?
I mean, after being thrown in an adventure for the most of the month, I would want to say you would hope for just some like chilled
Mhm.
times.
But remember, we're going to Asia for one
Oh,
week.
Oh, shoot.
So we leave on
Well,
Sunday and get back the following Saturday. So I'm like,
okay.
so what's happening?
Oh.
Oh, the Wheel of Fortune. I was like, and it did come reversed, as you know, we keep getting here.
Yeah.
Wheel of Fortune, I feel like that's like a gamble. Like there is no set, which was all like that's relevant, right?
I would think that's relevant to just the spread that we have, right? As
Mhm.
you're fine tuning and making tweaks to, this new way of living. You're taking risks because sometimes you kind of just have to make some courageous decision making
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah, so it's coming in reverse. It says, there is something blocking my good fortune. It's not my lucky day. I've reached the bottom or declining side of a cycle. Things are drawing to a close. I need to prepare for winter or a time of lack. It's time for a new direction in some part of my life. I feel like the
Oh,
last part is like the most relevant for everything I said. It's
yeah,
time for a new direction. Like
yeah.
coming off the Page of Pentacles right there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, that's our last 3 days of September. That just wanted to I just felt like they needed to come out real quick.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Well, anything else for September we need to share with them? Do we need to do a recap real quick? Here, I'll go through these ones real quick. That's what we did for August.
Okay.
And so just a recap for August on what to expect. We're leading with like the overarching theme of the month being our Eight of Cups. Kind of, we're probably a little exhausted. We've been going through a journey and we want to rest. We're ready for that time, which makes sense that our first week, did I say August, September?
First week of
September.
September.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our first week of September, we're going to get the Four of Swords reversed, which kind of represents that we are tired, exhausted. However, we're taking that rest, but something's still bothering us in that rest. So we're not able to let something go fully. And so we need to find a way to let go. Because in our second week of September,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to get the Three of Pentacles and the Devil. And so our Three of Pentacles, usually you're leading or collaborating. It's something that you're going to be, I say collecting or like group effort. So if it's not with people, it's collecting of some sort. And our Devil is there to like, either it could be chaos, it can be, hey, stand up for yourself in this moment. It can also be, don't get addicted to these things that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then our third week is the Hanged Man, who is telling you to kind of pause, reflect, and look at what's going on around you and really just take it in. And then we have our Page of Pentacles, who is our most wandering pentacle. So he gets an idea, and again, earthly possession. So there's a spark, some idea, something going on. However, we might be wandering too far. So we need to make sure we like reel it in.
Yeah.
And then right here on the spot, we did our kind of half week of September and we got the Wheel of Fortune reversed, which is telling us like, hey, it's time to like start anew, let something come like end, and then we start at the beginning again of something. And then our positive or negative was the Magician reversed, which was the idea of reflect on what did not work and refine. And so that is kind of your September read for tarot. And what's our
Yeah.
recap
And
for the
and just like a
stars?
recap of just what's going on in, the stars, and in connection to that tarot is we're going to be facing some, very strong energy from the lunar eclipse. It's pushing us to let go of something so that we can then make room to invite whatever the solar eclipse is going to be bringing to us in terms of new opportunities. Um, and, with that, as we're preparing for the lunar eclipse to let go of something, we have Saturn entering retrograde for Pisces, which, as it's going into retrograde, you're really slowing down and thinking about how can I build boundaries? How can I build a sustainable system? Because it may be that, there is no system in place. When the lunar eclipse comes, it's probably just telling you, like, this is something you got to walk away from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's going to be. Um, and then we also have our Uranus going into retrograde. Remember, it's in Gemini, the sign of communication. So really, slowing down. I would say it, corresponds with we're still overthinking things. Trying to make this decision. Slow your mind down so that you can gain some clarity in your thoughts and how you're going to decide how to proceed with whatever situation it is that you're dealing with.
Mm. All right. Awesome. Well, if you're listening to this in this September, after September, and this related to you, let us know. And if you're leading into September, I hope this helps gain some clarity so you can make those pause, self reflections, do a little meditation, because I think that's what September is calling for us.